how to get rid of that abdominal midsection fat. It's so important because it's so intertwined with how our immune system works. And so the poster that I have today is the lymphatic system. So if you're not familiar with the lymphatic system, it is basically like veins and arteries that travel around the body. This is how our immune system circulates throughout the whole body. It goes and it links up with our veins and arteries and the smaller, tinier blood vessels that we have, called capillaries. This is where our primary gas exchange is. So if you are trying to get rid of this midsection here, again, getting back in health, getting back in line with your health is all about getting back in line with your immune function, your circadian rhythm, and specifically your blood flow. That's why I'm always talking about putting on muscle, because when we put on muscle, we're actually massaging all of the veins and the arteries and our lymphatic system as well. A lot of people will go do things like dry brushing, or you'll get a lymphatic massage, and all this is the movement around, the movement of the blood and the fluids around. Like, we have lymph that flows all the way around our body, and it's all about gas exchange. So when we gain a lot of weight in this midsection, this is our body's last ditch effort, again, to conserve energy around the organs. So we're going through an internal starvation mechanism when we gain a lot of weight here. It has a lot to do with cortisol, it has a lot to do with the circadian rhythm. Again, trying to get a little bit of exercise in the morning, especially if you're a female, hitting like a few push-ups, getting your testosterone started early before your cortisol kind of takes over is super, super important. And again, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. It really just takes one exercise, one conscious exercise to get your blood flowing and moving, to get in line with the circadian rhythm. It just takes one habit to get in line with the circadian rhythm. Like going outside in the morning and seeing the sun is a form of the same thing, right? Because I actually move my blood, I move my lymph when I'm in the sunlight. So when you're getting back on track with your health, if you want to lose weight in this midsection, we got to get in line with the circadian rhythm. And again, it's all about getting out of that stress response. So do I have enough minerals and nutrients in my diet, those amino acids? If you have to ask yourself, you probably don't. More than likely, just keeping up with the depletion rate that we have, all the technology that we're surrounded with has us at a depletion rate that is accelerated like no other time period before. So usually it is the case that we are trying to chase down these minerals, but you can also include relaxation exercises. So going on a walk and like actively relaxing the body, or going out in the sun in the morning, I actively relax my body, or in the afternoon I practice actively relaxing so that I'm not tense in this tightness in this middle here, and I can allow my blood flow to expand throughout my entire body, through the legs and the arms especially. And you're always wanting to look at like, how is this process involved in all of our disease states? So for instance, diabetes, you don't have to have, I think this is something I've been saying a lot lately, you don't have to have diabetes to be struggling with insulin resistance, right? Like 1 in 4 people are pre-diabetic, right? And what is these other hormonal issues that a lot of young women are going through? Something like PCOS, right? So all these autoimmune issues, we're going to see the same markers that we're seeing in diabetes, which is a marker of insulin resistance. So what this means is just a resistance to energy in the body, a resistance to energy being brought into the cell. If we can't get energy into the cell, then we're just going to have this cycle, this feedback loop where the body's going through a stress response. It's packing on, right? Like my heart, my lungs, my small intestines, like my body is so smart. It's saying, oh, you're going through a starvation period. I'm going to pack fat around this midsection. So we have to get in line with I always talk about immune function, but circadian rhythm. If you're in line with your circadian rhythm, you're in line with your immune function. These two go hand in hand. Same thing for skin health. If you're struggling with your skin, you're struggling with your immune function, right? We want to get on top of this. How do we get on top of this? Well, basic diet basic diet, guys. Amino acids and fatty acids, I can't say it enough. Make sure you source these from a good place. If you're just going to the store and you're looking at the meats and you have no idea what you're buying, if it doesn't say grass-fed, pasture-raised, it's not. I can't say where it comes from, but we have a lot of commercial agriculture. A lot of these animals are getting antibiotics, hormones. They're in close quarters proximity. They're not getting the proper sunlight. And so basically when we're looking at those animals, they have the same metabolic issues that we have. So if we're trying to do better for ourselves, let's take an extra step and go buy the organic pasture raised. We want the highest quality. If I'm gonna spend money, I want to spend it in the most valuable place as possible. I want to get the highest rate of return. So I want to make sure that I'm getting quality products, and especially for like produce too, they have the Dirty Dozen with vegetables and fruits. We don't want to be buying foods that have been sprayed with chemicals, right? This is going to change their genetic composition, and when you eat that, it's going to change your genetic composition, because that's what happens when we eat food. So you want to get high quality most of the time. And again, for me, I'm shooting more for my animal proteins, because when I want to spend my money, again, highest rate of return. I don't want to waste my time, I don't want to waste my money. If I'm going to eat the blueberries and banana, and those are created of the same amino acids that I could get from the animal proteins, I'm just going to go for my animal proteins, because that, again, is going to include like the fatty acids that we need too. So that's like a 2-in-1 bird stone for me. And if I have to spend my money, again, highest rate of return. So to touch on one thing before we end this video, hydration status. What does it mean to be hydrated and dehydrated? And let me tell you this little story. In my freshman year of college, I was probably at my worst place as far as mental health, and worst place with my weight, my body composition. I was very inflamed in my face. And then my diet included Smoothie King, Panda, and Chick-fil-A. So I wasn't really understanding the whole we are what we eat thing, you know, but here we are now. Anyway, during the night when I was living in the dorm, my little sister, my 5-minute younger sister, we were in the dorm. I would wake up with Charlie horses in my calves all the time, and I was like, I mean, they're painful when you wake up out of your sleep and your calf is cramping. I don't know if y'all have ever had a muscle cramp. A lot of people will experience muscle cramps when they are exercising. This is a lack of energy. Look at this muscle cramp. What happens with a Charlie horse is your muscle basically like spazzes out, and like, oh God, it just tenses up really, really tight. And it takes energy to allow that muscle to relax. So I always talk about, what is rigor mortis? Do you guys know what rigor mortis is? When someone dies, if you've ever seen an open casket at a funeral, you'll notice that the body is stiff. It will get in a really rigid position. And this is what happens when we age. This is why it's really important if you can understand rigor mortis, you can understand hydration and just like the aging process in general. But you get stuck, right? Because there's no longer ATP pulsing through. It takes energy to relax. So that's the same thing with the Charlie horses at night that I was getting. I didn't understand, like, again, I was struggling with my mental health. I was having metabolic issues. I was having insulin resistance issues, and I couldn't put the puzzle pieces together at the time that I was dehydrated. And of course I had alcohol in my diet too, because that's what happens when you go to college. You just start to drink because that's what everybody does. That's what you're supposed to do. And so even so now, like, I woke up actually the other night after I had went out and I was up late, and I had those little glazed donuts that I was trying that were amazing, glazed beignets, so good, that I enjoyed. But I was also, like, I had a few beers too, so my body, and then I was up late. So if you're chronically, I said this in a video yesterday, if you don't have proper sleep hygiene, the body's going to deplete and dehydrate at a faster rate, and this all makes sense. So I woke up with a Charlie horse in my leg, and I was like, man, I need to get back on my hydration. And that's how I treat my body after I do any sort. If I have an enjoyable food, if I go to a party, have an enjoyable food, I have a bunch of sugar or I have a few drinks, I treat my body like I've just had a very traumatic stress response. So I know that my body is going to be dehydrating itself, because that's what the processed sugars and the oils do. They dehydrate us at the cellular level. So if you can understand that, If you can understand that hydration is all about mineral balance, not about water. I say all the time, somebody will say, oh, I got a foot cramp. They went in the cold plunge, I got a foot cramp. Like, you're dehydrated. But I'm drinking plenty of water, I shouldn't be dehydrated. We hydrate with our mineral status. We turn this water into a structure that the cell holds through a mineral status. So your core four minerals, calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, we need these minerals to hold the structure, to hold the balance and the ground charge in the cell. And if you're getting symptoms like a Charlie horse or muscle cramps, you are dehydrated. It could be that you are drinking a lot of water. I believe you, okay? It's not that I don't believe you, but we need to figure out how to actually hydrate the cell at the cellular level. You could drink all that water and you're just gonna keep peeing. We need to get that water into the cell. The number one way to do that is to boost the mitochondrial functioning. We can also do this through the amino acids and the fatty acids, which are required nutrients that we need. So again, when I'm sitting down and I'm going to say, which food groups am I going to eat? And for lunch, am I going to have the bananas and the blueberries? Like, what do I need to eat? If I'm really dehydrated, I'm going to go straight for my animal protein, because that's going to have higher mineral intake of everything that I need, especially things like iron and zinc. A lot of people will start supplementing things like zinc and find that their bodies are adapting pretty well with it. You know, why is that? Let's choose the food sources in the whole form where we can get 500 times greater percent of all these minerals, so that you can also spend the least amount of money on the food, get the highest rate of return. So dehydration, just a marker of that. So if you're above the age of 40, even I would say at this point, if you're approaching that 35 and above that, we're going into the dehydrated state anyway. So as we age, look up Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. She does geriatrics, metabolic health, putting on muscle, and prioritizing protein. If you are above the age of 40, you've got to be prioritizing this protein and this mitochondrial functioning. So that was it. That was it for today, for all of it. And then of course, as you do that, as you focus on your circadian rhythm and your mineral intake and helping your body relax, you are going to lose all that fat in the midsection, because that's what happens. The body can get out of that stress response, and you can have that blood flow to your extremities, to the hands and to the feet, which is what we need. The more blood flow that you can have out to those extremities, the higher rate your gas exchange is going to be, and just like the lower risk for everything, right? Because the midsection, if you have weight in this midsection, your risk for a cardiovascular event, cancer, anything is extremely elevated. So we know that we have the apple or the pear shape. If you hold a lot of your weight down in your buttocks and your thighs, women, this is healthier fat to keep than if we were going to be in this midsection. So continue to put on muscle, continue to get in the sun, each day, one day at a time. You get stronger one day at a time. You go out in the sun each day, you're getting your vitamin D levels up, you're tickling your mitochondria, you're breaking down tryptophan, you're making more serotonin, which is incredible for gut motility, and you're going to create more melatonin at night, which is going to help just this whole cycle. We're just getting in line with this entire cycle, and boom, boom, boom. It's a snowball effect each day. Easier and easier and easier, and you get out of it. Maybe one day you just drop the ball and you get out of your routine for a week or a month, or who knows how long. I've gotten out of my routines before, but you better get back in them. You just start over again. Nobody cares that you got out of your routine. Nobody cares that you failed. Nobody cares that you ate a pint of Ben & Jerry's last night. Start again. Start anew. Each day, each morning, you start again. So if this video is helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. As always, good luck.